All right, welcome back. We're gonna carry on and we are now into economy number 2, Alana.
Okay, so under economy, the first goal that we have is refresh and promote the community improvement plan. So the CIP programs are, not sure if that word needs to change, prioritized annually. And
Proper.
that was that time, I think.
Better get a stop sign.
So funny. Spell check
Call
doesn't
it a
catch it.
draft.
Spell check doesn't catch it because it's a word, I guess. Okay.
It could be proper tied.
The other initiative is, or other goal was to review the budget annually. So in 2024, it was discussed. The CIP committee did meet and did recommend going to $30,000. However, through the budget deliberations in 2024, that was taken back out. So the current level is $20,000.
How much of it was used so far, 25?
No, I'd have to get that information. I don't think any have been used.
There hasn't been anything, has there?
Not this year, we did last year have the 1/3 of a sign, which I think came out to around $400 if I recall, so, yeah.
All right.
Thanks.
So the idea would be to have the 20,000 again, so we're short any, we would always try and maintain that level.
Yeah.
Unless the CIP committee comes forward with the request and it was approved through the budget deliberation.
Let's promote it for the last few months.
In 2025, the community improvement project area was expanded to cover the entire township. Minor amendment was also approved to allow for technical changes, including adjustments to the grant and loan amounts without a formal need to redo the bylaw for the CIP amendment. That's just moving amounts between programs. And there were 3 programs that were prioritized for this year. Any other questions on CIP?
I can see it.
Do we want a sort of end date for the CIP? I think it's a good program. I think the idea behind it is great. But if there's a point where we're still not getting applications, I think there comes a point where it makes sense to pull the plug. $20,000 in 2017 is 25,250 today, so we've already lost about 20% of the purchasing power from that $20,000. And if it's not going to be used, then I think we need to pull it, but I don't want to pull it right now. I think there's still great opportunity there.
I think we need to be a little bit more marketing it, right? Like, I think we need, like, we gotta get it out there a bit more. I'm not too sure why people aren't kind of. Edward, I'm looking to you.
I have met with a couple of businesses, or organizations that had looked at it. One is deferring their work. As a result of the work through the downtown, you can probably have at least 2 or 3 changes to the CIP that I think would make them more attractive for business to take. So basically increasing the dollar amounts, as well as some other changes to the wording and applicability of how that might look. So, but just generally, most municipalities keep their CIPs indefinitely, but they change the programs themselves. But most municipalities have some type of CIP that is ongoing, that stays ongoing, but the program and levels and focus areas can change within that.
Yeah.
So
We just gotta sell it better.
Or does it actually make sense to have $20,000 separated anyway? We're not a really stingy group here, and I have a feeling if an application came forward from the CIP to council, we would strongly consider it, but then we have the $20,000 in the budget to be fine with at the same time.
I know, but you guys came forward with the request to up it and council said no.
Yeah.
Right, to 30,000, so I mean, that was during the budget process, right? Right, so it was, so, well, maybe we discussed it again to up it, cause like you said, it's, 20,000 in 2017 versus now, certainly doesn't go as far, even to up it to 25. I don't know, but maybe we look at it again for budget up the amount, but like I said, sell it better. Oh, let's do a video. Talk about it.
I was meaning fold the 20,000 back into our general reserve.
Oh,
And then pull it out if it's actually needed at any point, rather than having a separate pot of money for something.
Well, it's probably actually in that pot. We just know that it's earmarked. There's $20,000 bills earmarked. For this, but, I think it's worth maybe considering to look at the amount. Again, in budget, but.
I think also you wanna see some demonstrated use. And that would
We need that.
encourage you to increase the amounts, but by increasing some of those programs individually, you may see more uptake. And then once you got more uptake, it certainly could be addressed.
Okay.
If I may,
Yeah.
so for the budget, it is a line item in the budget, so the money is sitting there.
Mhm.
Each year, so if, $400 gets used, we would top that up using tax dollars, so. It's not really sitting in reserve, it's an item there, but it's carried forward each year, whatever's not used. But
Right.
if it pulls one, not.
So we're not putting aside $20,000 every year and we have this great pot of money. Yeah, okay. All right.
Okay, the next goal is 2.2, implement the strategic economic development plan, which includes initiatives under the areas of development, economic diversification, infrastructure, labor, and tourism. So evaluate the municipal property surplus property list with regards to development opportunities. So we have been looking at a couple of our larger pieces, the Bomber Road property with the half applications. And that is part of the purpose of touring our properties with council. And I can skip, and there's nothing really additional to add there, but the economic development strategic plan is a separate document and Edward will be addressing that.
Yeah.
Following,
Okay,
so if there's no questions, I can move on to governance.
sure.
So the
Yeah, we're gonna
priority
get
of
into more
governance.
detail on that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the first goal under governance is 3.1, maintain policies and processes that enable effective governance. Implement the recommendations in the service delivery review and provide a status update. So I have been working with the managers on a status update, hopefully to come forward to the October 7th council meeting. Of where we are on the items. That service delivery review is broken into productivity savings, revenue opportunities, and future recommendations. We have been working actually on a lot of the future recommendations, but that report will be in Q4 of 2025. Commence the RFP for the organizational review. So we did complete the organizational review. It was presented to council and I'm working on the implementation plan for Q4 of 2025. That will likely be closer to November. Because there will be maybe recommendations in there that will have impact with the budget process as well.
Absolutely.
Review policies with regards to retention, recruitment, and succession planning. This is ongoing. We've been working with Harbor. I have 3 samples of the succession plan that we're going to review with them in the coming week. We also are working on the compensation review and pay equity plan project with them. We're hoping that that will be presented to council in October. In closed session, and some of the results of that overview will likely also come forward in budget. There may be some policy updates as well. It's not just entirely to do with compensation, but looking at the whole package, everything succession together. Foster relationships with local First Nations. So we did consult with them in our Mount Julian Binding Road project. There was a special quad meeting. And there is another one being planned for October, November of this year.
I believe it's October 30th. Speaking with
October
Chief Hockaday. I think that's, I don't know if it's been finalized. I know we were sent to hold the date, but it sounds like all the feedback is, it's going to be on October 30th, so. It just needs to be properly confirmed. And Curve Lake will be hosting this year. Next year we host.
Okay, establish an advisory committee of council for the purpose of, the revision of the comprehensive zoning bylaw. So with the, county OP being last year sort of put on hold and back to the ministry and still waiting on the final approval, committee hasn't met as often.
There may be some changes coming forward based on, like, we had that motion, that we said we would support going, with other municipalities if they're interested in a joint RFP to redo the comprehensive zoning bylaw. That information was brought back to county, it hasn't come to a county council meeting. I'm hoping, I'm gonna follow up. I suspect it's gonna come to our first meeting in October, to see like who's in, who's out, basically, and then we can proceed from there. So there may be some changes, you know, for this strategic plan based on that. But yeah, that reminds me, I gotta call.
Okay. Establish an advisory committee of council regarding short-term rentals. So this committee has been meeting regularly, has been seeking consultation from the public and has received several deputations and presentations. And I believe now are working on the work plan towards recommendations to council.
Okay.
Investigate options to bring fiber internet to the municipal office. When I was
What's a new one?
when I was reviewing the 2024 session, this was the hot topic of discussion, and it's still the hot topic of discussion. We can see it, we just don't get it.
From what I'm hearing internally, because we're doing some work with, some of the subcontractors that are laying the fiber, is that this line here and going up, the highway, they're very closey. I don't wanna say for sure, but maybe by the end of the year, there may be some communication, and it may be active.
Oh, that'd be great. That'd be wonderful.
God, I hope so.
I'm not sure
Yeah.
if Judy or Edward have anything to add to that, no?
I
Still waiting.
heard lot 35, which is that Bell project, including that it was winter to spring for activity. So I don't know if it'll be in segments, but that was the information
I
I
don't know.
received, yeah.
I mean, and yeah, and I could be totally wrong, it's just sort of like I said, internally, some of the comments, right, I mean, it's like I said, the fibers come up to like my buildings, but it hasn't gone any further, so.
But work is being done.
Yeah, oh yeah, they're working right now,
Actively
today.
Over the last month or two.
All over,
Yeah.
right, so not just over here, but there's other lakes that are getting, the marine cables and all of that, it's ongoing for sure, so. Go ahead.
How much would it cost? I thought that there was an opportunity, it would just be expensive for the municipality to bring it in right now. Is that the case, or am I misunderstanding something along the way?
Thought that was the case. Thought it was the expense.
No,
It's very, very expensive.
Yeah.
So is slow internet in a commercial setting.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, I know.
but I, even though this is like taking a little bit longer, I mean. Like the end is in sight, I can see it, right above your heads, I see the fiber out there, so, but like I said, I think that,
I'll
Yeah.
say that for this building specifically, there were quotes given in the past. We
Yeah.
asked for updated information from Bell more recently, and we weren't able to get any exact time or cost for this location. There's also fiber optic that's at the fire hall that was already there pre-existing from when the OPP was using that building, so the fiber optic's already there with similarly, Mackenzie asked for quotes on costs, and as we asked for more detail, we weren't able to get any specifics from Bell as well, so I know staff have reached out, but at this time it has been difficult to get exact numbers and scheduling into, even if we were ready to bring a proposal for those costs, it's been challenging to get that information, any exact details from them at this time.
keep on it. Cause I mean, because it's, like I said, it is imminent, so it's,
Remember at the old building, Judy, I went in one day, we got that $50,000 to put in the internet.
the town.
And I went in and everybody's like, oh, you should see the way this works, you should see the way this works. We only have to wait about 10 or 15 seconds for something to come up now. Because
Yes.
the minute it was on dial-up. So we have come a long way.
So in the additional operational achievements here were the Joint Health and Safety Committee reviewed the health and safety policy as well as amended the corporate violence harassment in the workplace policy. If there's no questions, we can go on to the next one.
Just one quick thing, the business continuity plan. You put out an RFP for it, I don't even know what it is, but you didn't get any replies, or is that dead, you just forget about it? Or what? What is the business continuity plan anyway?
I believe it is maybe under another category, but we did not receive any RFPs, but I will be providing a report to council. We did get one late, but it was more than twice the budget. But I think it is a policy that we may be able to bring in-house and do internally.
Thank you.
So 3.2, provide quality community programs and services. Increase the budget amount for the donation policy to a total of 1,500 within the 24 budget. That was completed. 1,500 is now being included each year. And in addition, as standard donations, we have the $300 for the I think it's now the Peterborough Chamber of Commerce. Community cares donation, which is increased by 2% each year. And the total amount is $3,183.62.
And I bring up something to add and just it was brought to mine and Ruth Ann's attention last night. There is every year the grade 8 graduation at our local school, and there's a number of awards that are provided. I'm usually there to present awards, and at the library, there's a whole bunch of stuff. Anyway, there was some talk with staff, and I did get an updated list of all of their awards, but typically there's a monetary amount that goes with different awards, whether it's like $50 or $100 or something like that. And it's not just based on like academic excellence. I can actually, if I can get onto here. So there's different awards. The Lions Club Citizenship Award presented to a trusted student who's demonstrated good citizenship, honors, commitments, all that. Peacekeeper Award for the Legion, the Doreen McMoyle Library Award, Kim Howson Memorial Award presented to a student who's demonstrated outstanding character traits and facing and overcoming adversity. There's a variety. The Studio Tour has an award. But the school did ask if council would consider perhaps sponsoring one of the awards, and the one that they had recommended was one of the awards, but there's a total of 2 of them. But it's hang on here, I gotta find it. If council would consider sponsoring the Academic Excellence Awards. This award is presented to 2 students who have scored the highest averages in all subjects. And it would be, part of the award would be $100 that would be given to each of those, so 200, whether or not council would consider sponsoring that award. So I just want to know, maybe we add that in for budget as well. So it's 1,500 plus the 300, maybe plus the 200, plus the community care.
How much does that do in budget?
200.
I'm only kidding.
I didn't think you were.
So we could add that to the budget deliberation.
Yeah, but it's also just building that connection with our school as well. I think, as I said, I participated in a lot of things and stuff, but I think it would be nice. I've often thought about that too, of, supporting students, absolute graduates in their ongoing endeavors to maybe want to come back, go and see the world, get your schooling and, but come on back home, right?
When you said there were 2 opportunities, was it the 2 academic achievement ones?
2 awards, but there is a whole list, and I'm happy to circulate it out. Because I don't wanna take it away from the Lions, but the Lions as a citizenship award, I'm like, that would be perfect for council to do. But there's some other ones there as well, right? So, yeah, so I'll circulate that out and just give it some thought, and then we can discuss it when it comes back.
And again, for me, like just pure percentage academic standing would not be the one for council to be backing in my mind.
Yeah, and and they said rather than creating a new one, because there's a lot of them, because I was thinking, well, maybe we could create a new one, maybe there could be a special one, but. Let's flesh it out a little bit more, but I'm getting the feeling that council is supportive of doing something to support the graduation. Okay, perfect. Yay, thank you. Okay.
The next, goal is finalize the review park plan and implement the component.
Yes.
There was,
Go ahead. No, sorry.
there was considerable, cleanup required after the 2025 ice storm. I think it took, until January at least, to reclaim some of the walking trails this year, make it safe.
The 2022 director, you mean, for January this year? You're saying,
I'm sorry, no, I meant the March ice storm.
okay, and it took till.
That was March 29th.
Yeah.
It took us till almost July.
Okay, I was gonna say,
This
you said
year.
January and I was like,
Sorry.
that's okay.
Yep, thanks for the clarification.
I was thinking for like, what, still the July show.
The washrooms were boarded up to prevent further use. The parking lot sign was installed. We met with the neighbors for the location of buffer zone trees that were planted. And the final step is to put out an RFQ for quotes, for the final park development that will be completed in 25-26, which would be, to cover those final items.
Perfect, and then once again, I would just say, like, I apologize for the pressure I was putting on staff to get this done, because yes, the ice storm is, took a priority when it came to doing the, responding to and cleaning all that up, so I get how things were delayed, but glad to see that this is coming forward. Yep.
They're not gonna be very happy with my comments on this,
Go ahead, I wanna hear them.
I don't think we should be throwing any more money at that, or any of these places to get access to the creek. It is a creek, it's not a lake, it's not a river, it's not anything, and, a very unpredictable creek at that. I haven't spoken against it before because you were so high on it, but, that's a very dangerous creek. You never know when it's gonna be a torrent. You never know when it's gonna have no water in it at all, like this year. If you do put a canoe in, which I did, you have debris all the way down. You're either trying to get around it or go over it, and, it's not a pleasant experience. And it ended up not being a pleasant experience when we went over the waterfall, down at, Long Lake. So you'd have to get signage up, and so on and so forth, so I'm not in favor of doing anything more on the creek. I won't vote to, spend any money on any, access points or anything for it. But, that's my opinion on it, it's been my opinion all the way along. But as I say, you were so hot on it that I didn't say anything, and,
It sounds like it's just the
but I
Carolyn show.
would like to know, I would really like to know, how many people use it. I think we should, before we spend any more money, find out who's using it, if anybody. But I've never had anybody mention it to me in any way, shape or form, so, just my observations.
Okay.
Yeah, very quickly, I got a message about it last night.
Oh, good.
I get it quite frequently from people in
Oh,
town
yeah,
asking
what
me
did you
about,
get? What did you get?
specifically about Riverview Park and being able to put canoes in, at Riverview Park.
Okay, well,
But I'm not saying it happens all the time, but it is something that I actually do hear about it from local residents.
Okay, well,
Can can I just ask Edward, does it come up in the surveys you did at all, or? Or is it something you mentioned in the surveys?
I think we asked about the part, one was the access by the cemetery there, and just parks in general. Can't remember if we speak to it in the stretch, but I think we did talk about suggesting eventually a parks and open space plan, and I would see that all those access points be at a time, you time that in, and maybe that part of that parks and open space plan, that public consultation could look at how people are accessing and using those individual spots, so they get an idea of that type of information.
It is in here, right? We talked about that. It was an over, and because Gary, you brought it up, I believe, at the last strategic session about doing an overall parks plan, which Riverview is a part of, and it's kind of been our focus, but there's other, it's bigger than that. And as Jim says, I've been high on this for a while. And I will say my piece now. But I think Eels Creek is one of our greatest natural resources in our community. Our community exists because of Eels Creek. It connects the north to the south, goes through all the wards. The logs were floated down the creek, through the mills, down to Stony and on, has historical, cultural, recreational, environmental significance, its own special little watershed. The creek is very popular. When they were rebuilding, or the plans, we had the meeting with the crew that were doing the Haltane reconstruction, when they were removing the last wooden trestle bridge on the Kings Highways. We advocated strongly for them to create the canoe access. We have a memorandum of understanding with the MTO to maintain that, because as I had said to them, they said, this is beyond the scope of our work. And I said, that may be the case, but this is an access point, and that is much loved by many folks. That route from Haltane down to High Falls and then out at Northeast Bay Road is very popular. Just Google it, go online, and you'll see people utilize it all times of the year. I've paddled different sections of the creek. It's amazing. Yes, there's some log jams, but when I did the one paddle back in 2012, I had done research with the MNR and with the DFO, and there is no issue with maintaining a navigable waterway. You can cut and remove branches and things that are in the way. They don't want you destabilizing the shoreline. They don't want you going in and ripping out the root systems or whatever. But if you're trying to get a paddleboard or a kayak or canoe down, absolutely take a saw or an axe, and you can get your way through. I've spoken to folks who talk about, there used to be the taking the floaties down the creek, and wanting to do that again. One of my secret dreams is to have a Friends of Eels Creek formed to talk about it. I think that there's lots of communities that have, the trail towns or whatever, they have access to rail lines, those different things. This is, as I said, I think a wonderful resource that we have, and there's a lot of interest in it. And I don't think we need to spend a whole lot of money to improve and support access for folks that want to explore the creek. I think it's beautiful, and I will always be in support of continuing that project. So.
Okay, and I back you 100% there. I think when it comes to the Friends of Eels Creek, finances are always gonna be a challenge, and I'd actually be interested in upping our 1,500 that we just discussed. Cities are able to use donation policies in order to sort of provide services without directly providing them. And if we're able to do some work on the creek without actually bringing it directly into the municipality, it may streamline the work a little bit, may make the Friends of Eels Creek a more realistic option for them. And just to highlight, we've often used 100% of our charitable donations each year, but we haven't got about 2% utilized of the CIP. We need to push that along. So I think there's a good opportunity to bump the 1,500 back up. And then the other big highlight that I would like to see come from this is I am devastated every time I open a county tourism map, whether it's the most recent one about the leaks and the leaf changing tours that I saw being spread online, whether it's cycling. Every county tourism map ends at Stony Lake. And if we had something that we were able to offer to be put on that map, then we'd actually be able to be included on that map, because it's not the entire county that's being put on those.
Yep. No, I agree. I think maybe, and just kind of piggybacking on your comment, and I thought about this in the past too, is that maybe we need to explore our donation policy. You know, I don't know when we last updated it. We have some specific criteria. But yeah, an opportunity to not only just look at you know, the funds that we allocate, but also the criteria that we look at. And there's different programs, like, I mean, we have the donation policy, then we have a municipal grant program for environmental initiatives. Townships do different things to provide funds for certain initiatives, like you said, for things that maybe we can't take on ourselves. So rather than getting into specifics, like saying upping the donation policy specifically for the creek stuff, just let's look at it overall. And see, you know, if there's, like I said, ways that we can update it, maybe broaden, you know, who can access it and the reasoning behind it, so. Are you getting that, Alana? We're adding more to the plate. But I do think it's worthwhile. Your comments are appreciated and received, Jim.
I know they're not. Don't you say they're appreciated?
Well, no, because it makes me then think about, well, I gotta support my position and express it, why I believe it's so important.
I know how you feel about it. I've hesitated to bring it up, but I thought.
You never stopped you
I've been
before.
holding it in now for quite gosh.
Don't you feel better? Don't you feel
I
better?
feel way better.
Okay, good.
Boy,
Don't ever hold back, Jim.
I do very often. I
Oh,
know.
dear. Okay,
Okay,
all right, so now we're on to the MOU, Lions Park.
Yeah, so we have the canoe kayak parking that we talked about.
Yes,
And so we still need to do in Q2 and Q3, the installation of the pot and a better canoe launch area.
we need to more, with this, cleaned up that area, I saw that, that's, but I know, and it may be a little bit of communication with DFO or MNR, just to make it a little bit more accessible to get to the water, it's still kind of right down in there, right? But yeah,
So the next item is the memorandum of understanding with the Absey District Lions Club. And I know that Gary has had some recent meetings with the new executive on the Lions Club in regards to bringing this forward in Q4 25.
Gary, did you have anything to add to that? You're on mute.
No, there'll be a report coming actually at the next council meeting, regarding a
Okay.
big event that they have planned in 26. And, I can comment then.
Okay, sounds good.
Thank you.
The next goal is consider the community safety and well-being plan, implementation steps and further decision-making. We've not heard a lot from the leadership team. I know that the CAO County sits on the leadership team here. We haven't seen a lot coming forward, but it is something that we do keep in the back of our mind, similar to other plans when we're working on projects.
I will say it, then maybe as, you know, the OPP detachment boards gets more established as well. I see they're being, you know, we'll be focusing on that a little bit more too, so there may be some stuff then flowing down to the townships from that, but we're still kind of in the, you know, the beginning phases of, you know, these new boards as, you know, directed by the province, so.
Implement virtual city hall portal and enable property owners to have direct access to their accounts. So this has been completed. There was a demonstration to council in March of 25. It was soft launched in February, hard launched in June. Notices were included in the final tax bills and information in the newsletter, and finance staff were present with a big set the Lions Club Flea Market to promote virtual town hall and had a fair bit of activity at their week.
Yeah, Edward, you and Mackenzie were there that day, I remember, yeah. It was well received.
Citywide demonstration was presented to council in March, and it was soft launched, promoted along with the virtual town hall promotions. And in the newsletters. there's nothing there. The next, goal of 3.2, provide quality programs and services. So again, this is to do with the implementing citywide customer support request software. The implementation is complete. Install the cloud permit planning module software. So with our changeover in planning staff and direction to planning services, the cloud permit planning module was never really fully launched. It also, almost every municipality and the county who went with the planning module and cloud permit are abandoning it. It's not supporting the needs that it was intended to support. So our intent would be to not renew this into the future. We will be keeping the cloud permit module in building for the time being. We've talked about that with looking also at other options citywide and other permitting software. But the planning module unfortunately has not been successful.
Georgia.
Does that, does that mean everybody has to come in? You can't do it online anymore?
Yeah, so for planning, everyone does come in right now and meets with the planners. So it's, the building permit, they can still do online. For planning, but yeah, this hasn't really been very successful,
Okay,
unfortunately. There was a lot of work put into that in the beginning with the funding from the government, like joint RFP we did with the county and HPM.
Yeah.
But consensus across the board seems to be that it's not effectively meeting the needs. And I'm not sure what the direction will be. I'm not sure if the county is looking into citywide as an option, but not to say it couldn't come back in the future, but I think right now with our current situation, it's something that we'll just let lie for now.
Okay.
Oh, there's
Matt, go ahead.
I'm just gonna make a comment about the planning applications. So they need to be commissioned, which means somebody would have to come in to do the commissioning of the application anyway.
Mm.
Can't be done through the cloud permit program. So that's,
one of the calls.
Yeah.
you know, there is enough, some, they have to attend in person to do that.
Matt, do you find people make appointments or do they just walk in the door?
Most people make appointments,
Do they?
yeah,
Okay, well, that's great, that's great.
and that's usually as a result of going through the free consultation or it's, you know, at least contacting staff ahead of time.
Okay.
Okay, the next goal is explore options to expand the municipal grant program for boat cleaning stations in environmental purposes. So the environmental initiative grant was approved in 24. And there was just some discussion on possible changes to our future grants, but the direction has been focused on environmental and lake.
I, just if I can speak to that, I think, like, I think this grant makes sense and it's very specific, and we've expanded it. And I will say I've been like flogging it at all the Cottage Association meetings that I go to. And even some other folks, like, for example, there is a group that was, formed as a result of, the DFO grant. We're looking at further boat cleaning stations, but PLINK, which is Prevent Lake Invasives in North Kawartha. So, and you know, and their idea about raising awareness, public education, and I did have, one of the women, talk to me about, you know, some initiatives and, you know, technically they're not a lake association, but I was like, you have to come to council, put your application in, get, you know, come make your pitch, right? And, I, you know, council can decide, but I mean, I think it kind of, from what I can see, I mean, it would meet the criteria of, you know, that grant anyway. So it's, I think that's the thing, again, we need to sell it and put it out there. So, and make, associations aware that this is available, right? So.
Okay, and the last couple under 3.1 is continue to work on a safer Highway 28, including with working with the Kawartha Highlands Provincial Park, OPP and the MTO. Since the last updates on this, the mayor's coalition was formed to address issues on Highway 28. I believe you also did a presentation to Roma. And we received a response letter from the MTO, so this is ongoing.
Yeah, just if you want to add to that, they did agree to do an operational review, a safety audit, which has been ongoing throughout the summer. Scheduled to be completed probably right around now. They said it was towards the end of September. And then next steps would be to bring forward their report and findings from that review and audit to the mayor's coalition, and then, so that's be later in the fall. So, as soon as it's possible, we're gonna be bringing it forward to council, but, no, it was well received, and, you know, and I also would like to mention that I've been in contact with a resident up on Potash Lake who is very interested in this issue as well, and is in sort of in the beginning stages of forming a citizen stakeholder group that could maybe, you know, work, you know, alongside with the mayor's coalition as well, right? As wherever we get the support, I mean, everybody, you know, recognizes the importance of the issue, so.
One tool that I would mind seeing discussed by council, would be the Fatal Collision Review Committee. It's something that can be shared amongst multiple municipalities, so it very well may be that the mayor's coalition is the most appropriate place for it to be discussed and potentially brought forward.
Yeah, what's it called again?
Fatal Collision Review Committee. It's a committee that includes members of municipalities, Ontario Provincial Police, and Ministry of Transportation. In the past, you used to have needed to adopt I forget the specific terms, but it's a zero fatality traffic plan, that was sort of fairly intensive. But the MTO has relaxed on that recently, and municipalities that haven't adopted that are able to start one of these committees. So all needed members get together within, I believe it's 30 days after a fatal collision. They review it, they identify trends and causes, and make recommendations based on the discussion that's had around the actual particular incident. I appreciate that they're doing the safety review, but I think once that safety review comes, that's a good step to say, you know what, there's still gonna be things that we need to catch and work on. Why don't we set up this committee to have ongoing or future improvements?
It's an excellent idea, however, I'm not sure if the mayor, because the mayor's coalition is kind of a loosely based, there's not a lot of formal structure sort of to it, but detachment boards. We have the OPP, you know, the Peterborough County Detachment Board, this is mandated by the bar, so it may be, I'll, you know, discuss it with the detachment board at our next meeting as well, because. So I also know, we're gonna be talking about, I shared some, our comprehensive, or pardon me, community safety zone, application that we, put forward for the two zones that are on 28. Because I know, Autonomy Township is taking the lead in looking at community safety zones on Highway 7. So it makes sense, it may not be within, like, so it's just focused on Highway 28, but each board could potentially have one of those committees and do it, and I think that makes a lot of sense, right? So thank you for that, I'll bring that forward.
Okay, if there is no further comments. The next is just the additional operational achievements. So just popping down to 2025. We have the organized and implemented the veteran pole banner program. So there'll be meetings in the second and third quarter of 2025. I think council will be seeing a report on this shortly as well.
Yeah, I see Gary is nodding his head, yeah. Good.
Yeah, there'll be a report coming to the next meeting to expand it by another 16 banners, so that all the veterans on the cenotaph and Apsley will be recognized. And again, you'll see it on the report next meeting.
Awesome, look forward to it, thank you.
Installed new internet service at the NKCC, improving the internal networks and restoring the free public Wi-Fi. And scheduled and operated the following programs that were listed. Some programs were redesigned. New was youth pickleball, youth beach volleyball that we spoke of earlier, youth flag football, March break youth, and 3-on-3 hockey tournament. Also redesigned the adult slow pitch league. Reviewed and changed the fitness center curriculum. Organized an implementation of the 3rd annual end of summer youth hockey day camp at the NKCC. And organized and implemented the additional food cyclers, which was recently discussed at council. And will be available shortly.
Just
Okay.
as a comment there, we're gonna go live with the food cycler probably today or tomorrow. It was scheduled for Monday, but we're gonna try to get this weekend in there as well too. We've already had a couple emails. And if I just, this is a very small thing, but the adult slow pitch league redesign. So I had nothing to do with that. They came to me, so we had some of our participants had come and said that they get frustrated when they show up and even though it's fun, lose every game 20-0 as an example. So Sean and I discussed it, and Sean and actually with Don Knightley's help as well, they sat down and sort of redesigned the teams and the league so that they're now playing, within their own skill level. So this year, I had the feedback that, games were more fun because it was even, again, I'm going to say more competitive, but again, it's still, for fun, but everybody has more fun when it's a little bit more competitive. And again, so we did that. I put that in there because again, within our strategic plan, we did that based upon the feedback from the participants, to try to meet their needs.
Perfect.
Okay, so to continue on, 3.3, provide effective, clear, and transparent township communication. Enable hybrid meetings in the council chambers and within Northport, the community center. I know we just had Diversified here doing some updated cable work. I'm not sure if Judy has an update on the 3rd owl.
On a 3rd hour.
Yeah, there's
That'd be a flaw.
staff implemented the use of the owl 3. Oh, and maybe it's not the 3rd owl, it's the upgraded version.
Are we still planning to take this and put it up? Because right now it's an off, it's not an L, no. But it is we're gonna do that.
And make the wires and it'll be installed in the ceiling.
Okay. Perfect.
The next is develop a communication plan to include the mayor's videos and municipal services. This is ongoing, it's working very well. Gillian keeps track and keeps all of our staff managers on track with any updates, but having this annual plan of, information that goes out at the same time every year, it just saves recreating it every year, and the communication has been well received. It's excellent.
And how are the numbers, like the subscribers for like the newsletter, are they increasing?
We're not seeing an increase in our newsletters. I think it's because our social media platforms have become so much more engaging.
Yeah.
That some of the information may be kind of irrelevant, but it is very good content. We still have, I think, over 200 subscribers.
Good.
Which is, in my opinion, quite large for a municipality of our size.
Yeah. Well, and continue to sell it, I do as well too, especially when I get, yes, depending on the questions that are asked of me, it's like, it's an opportunity for me to say, hey, you know, you could subscribe to the newsletter and you could find all those answers out. Word. But,
Placed it in the corporate calendar for next year to start promoting when we're doing our, seasonal, additions. Just so it kind of gets people, aware that it's out there and they can subscribe and kind of go in and look.
okay,
So it's scheduled in, and I figured we'd try that initiative next year to see if it says.
Colin,
If somebody sends us a message on Facebook or something like that, are we able to respond and address the situation through Facebook Messenger?
In my time here, we have not received any messages directly on our Facebook. With that being said, if somebody does make a comment on any of our posts, if it's a direct question, we will reach out to our managers responsible for the service, the program, and ask them if they could provide some clarification. And then we do such in our brand voice, within a timely manner, just so that those questions are identified as soon as possible.
I think, yeah, we have sort of like the official recognized communication channels. I will say, speaking personally, is I got rid of Facebook Messenger a while ago. Just because in that, it puts you at risk for hacking. A lot of challenges around that anyway, plus too, it's just, I'm just saying that, I'll even like, cause I have several different social media accounts, right? It's just like email, text me, phone me, right? That kind of thing. It just makes it easier, so. But yeah, I do know you guys are good to, you know, respond to those questions or comments, but ultimately, it's like. I said, our emails and our phone numbers are out there and encourage everybody to.
Yeah, I would say that as per our practice and policy, we only respond to, you know, questions or comments that are on our own Facebook page, North Kawartha Township page. And then sometimes if it's specific, it's to redirect it to the department manager with the contact information. Or we would reply right on our page, so that the information is available, the link to everyone.
Perfect.
So the additional operational achievements for 2025, we created, organized and implemented the storm debris management plan following the ice storm, so that took up first, second and third quarter. Continue to provide clear information on garbage and recycling through the our normal channels and handouts at the transfer stations. Provide clear written correspondence on behalf of residents while copying residents. So, and, to Mterra and Circular Materials addressing ongoing curbside recycling issues. So this is still an ongoing issue. There will be changes at the end of the year. The county has put out some correspondence to the non-eligible sources that the county council members are aware of.
And there is more, there's another report that will be coming back. We're still stepping up our lobbying efforts on that because yeah, it's a.
And
Go
if I
ahead.
may sort of interrupt, we're getting together, all the townships in the county are getting together. We just actually were working out a meeting date yesterday through a poll to address the non-eligible source issue and you know, trying to come up with a game plan as well. You know, going back to circular materials. We still don't have a draft agreement yet. Alan and I, you know, have made it clear to them that we would like to continue with the non-eligible collection in our sites. But right now, yeah, there has been no hard solution with any of that. And if I but I'm sure it's gonna get fast and furious here like it did last time in the next couple months because you know the transition period expires December 31st. And just some, and if I may comment, just some of these other things that we put down here. Some are, you know, maybe more important than others, but it's just an example of how all of us, you know, managers, we try to continue to provide clear and effective communication to our ratepayers and residents because you know that's always seems to be the key to any issue or problem is the lack of clear communication. So that's just showing an example of how we try to do that.
And I will say, I mean, not just you, but for all the managers as well too. I know like we get inquiries individually. I mean, if I share, stuff forward stuff, I mean, you guys are very good to respond and you're right. A lot of the time it's just, it is that, just getting that response. Sometimes you can't even fix the problem, but the fact that you've acknowledged and, you've listened to somebody and provided some feedback, I mean, it goes a long way. And I do get a lot of positive comments from folks about that you guys are very good in responding. So thank you.
Gary's mentioned the other communication items, so unless there's any further questions, we can go on to the.
Edward is waiting patiently for his.
So we just have environment left.
Perfect.
Okay, so under environment, they first will promote responsible environmental stewardship. We did already talk a little bit about this, and the shoreline preservation policies, I'm sure will be covered in the comprehensive zoning bylaw review as well. Partnership with the county, we have recycling, Gary spoke with that. Examine organic waste solutions, the recycler is coming back and will be announced shortly. And then just to skip down to the operational achievements in 2025. So there were 2 special cleanup weekends. We provide free scrap metal collection bins at transfer sites, refrigerant removal.
If I may,
Yep.
just a couple, one quick comment, and I know we're, I'm trying to stay quiet so we can move on here, but this free scrap metal bin collection, a very minor thing, but every time I go to a meeting, other townships always talk about the free scrap metal bins at the end of people's driveways or, wherever people put up a sign saying, collecting scrap metal here that do not get policed by the appropriate agencies. And whereas, municipalities that do everything properly, of course, always get policed. And they want to know how they can stop these. And we don't have as many as some municipalities have. And I've mentioned this many times before, because we don't charge for our scrap metal. There is many of the municipalities, and again, it's just how they do it because they have scales. Um, you drive across the scale, you get weighed, you dump your stuff, and when you're going back out, you're paying disposal on everything, including scrap metal. Hence the reason people look for other ways to dispose of it. So our ability to continue to collect scrap metal for free, I think is a great way that we can continue to make sure that CFCs are being disposed of and emptied properly before something is crushed, like a refrigerator, an air conditioner, or what have you. And I think it keeps those free bins down in our municipality. That's my only comment.
I was just gonna say, good work, Eric.
I'm surprised that.
Well, it's not me, it's all of us, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, it is a small thing, but a big thing in the end.
So if I understand, you're saying that there's other municipalities that charge for people to bring their metal to the dump. Did we get money on that? Like that's a.
Most do.
Very bad.
Most do.
That's very bad. That's the one thing that we can actually generate some revenue from, right? Like, so anyway, okay, well, keep on,
So
keep on.
we collected, yeah, we collected for free, and our revenue offsets the cost of getting rid of it and puts some money back into the waste budget, right? So yeah, it's a positive.
Okay. Way to be.
And then just to finish off, was the replacing the ice edger with the electric edger and the electric commercial water heater as well.
Perfect.
And then just continuing with our plan on the closed waste sites. Moving on to goal 4.2, protect the human environment. We have participate with creation of the countywide diversity, equity and inclusion plan. The county, I don't believe, has come up with a final plan, although some work is being done. The committee has not been meeting very often. The township would have an option to create our own plan if we would prefer to do so. And I guess if there's no further action, we could consider to develop our own.
Yeah, let's wait and see where the county's at.
Create a recreation master plan to include an open space master plan, including beaches, parks. This would be all open space and accesses. So this is something that would be on schedule to be completed, no later than, Q3 or so of 2026. As we're coming into this last year of our 23 to 2026 plan, all of the goals we're hoping to have met. So we would be looking to include funds for this in the 2026 budget.
So you're gonna get a consultant to do a recreation master plan?
That would be the intent.
Gary, do we really need a recreation master plan? You're running all the programs, Sorry, go ahead.
This is, again, this is council's document, so, I'm not sure that it's my position to comment. But, yeah.
But yes.
But yes.
I know I brought it up in the past, and it's something that I'm supportive of doing in-house. But it's not something that I'd be interested in hiring, it's not a high enough priority that I would go outside and get consultant to give input. I think we have lots of expertise, especially with our new planning consultant downstairs, that we'd be able to sort of piece something together so we have a long-term plan.
So it's still,
Hey.
let's focus on it, but let's maybe, we'll see what it's going to entail and come back with options.
Yeah, and if I may, like Alana and I've discussed, and Alana has, made some excellent comments in the past regarding this, that it's nice when you have a plan that is consistent, so that we know what we're doing in each area when we have an opportunity. Whether it's equipment or programming or whatever, right? So, again, what's that old saying about failing to plan is failure or whatever? So I can't remember how that saying goes. So
Plan is planning to fail, right?
there you go. That's what I was looking for. So yes, having a plan, whether it is, big and fancy done by a consultant, or whether it's done in-house with the as Colin said, with the excellent people that we have, it's just good to have a plan in general.
Perfect.
And just very quickly, when you were planning, it would have been nice to have this like 50 years ago when we were considering selling the shoreline road allowances along the creek. So it's things like that that came back to bite us later that I would like to try to avoid, and having somebody with a little more expertise do it, I think makes total sense.
Okay.
So by expertise, do you mean a consultant?
The planning, well, we have a planning consultant downstairs, so I guess technically it would end up being. If we did it in-house, it would still be a consultant.
Well,
But our.
we have expertise amongst the staff, too, right? But
Yeah.
let's just see what staff have to say, because the other thing, like I said, you can see from this, we do have a lot on the plate. There's a lot of things that we accomplish in a year, in addition to the regular duties and responsibilities. You know what? And this is something that, this municipality has been very good at in the past, is doing a lot of things in-house, but then we recognize how then sometimes it takes away from other projects and priorities, and maybe RFPs don't go out quickly enough for other things or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, there's a balancing act sometimes, and that's why. Sometimes it does make sense to go with a consultant, but we need to look at each individual project or initiative on its own merits, rather than just be like, we're always gonna do consultants, or we're always gonna do it in-house. It's not always gonna work that way, right?
I am so glad you mentioned that because it's not that we don't have the ability, we just, our time is such a valuable resource. And I am sure every other single manager will agree with me that sometimes, when things like the ice storm happen, it just takes away from our time that we thought we had to do a lot of these other projects. So yeah, time is definitely a valuable resource that it's not that we're not capable, but we often just don't have enough time.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. The next goal is explore options for accessible community gardens. I know Community Care looked into this initiative quite a bit, back in 2024. I haven't heard anything recently. There was a little bit of discussion about places that this could happen when we were on the property tour. But there hasn't also been a lot of request or demand.
Get working on it.
And then just to skip down to the additional achievements for 2025. Gary spoke about the scrap metal.
Yeah.
And then our use of municipal facilities. Inspection of Honeywell sensors for public and employee safety. Environmental monitoring of all of our closed landfill sites. That pretty much cover, oh no, sorry, I have one more, 4.3, if there's no questions there.
No.
Consider climate change and decision making. Investigate options to include funding options for electric vehicle charging systems. So we are working on the electrical, the next to have them installed at the NKCC, which is in the point below as well. And hopefully it's on track. I don't know if anyone wants to add anything on that.
For the NKCC, have a meeting next week with the vendor, and I've engaged a professional engineer that's a specialized electrical engineer to provide the drawings for Hydro One and the ESA for the new design hookup for that off of Jack Lake Road.
The other thing I just maybe mention, I don't want to be out of it, just this year, I mean, every year's different, but I mean, the fact that we, have dealt with drought conditions. It's something, I mean, that, like this, at the last few years, we've had a lot of rain, we've been worrying about, sort of flooding, maybe along the creek or different waterways. This year has been totally different. Folks' wells have run dry. I mean, level 3 drought at the Conservation Authority. So, like we need to, maybe keep that in mind as well too, right? When it comes to, our operations, our need for water, like, are we gonna be okay to make sure that, we've got the resources we need to fight our fires or do whatever, right? I know there's a lot of places that are dry, a lot of ponds that are mud flats right now, and are they gonna be recharged, right? And how will that impact our ability to, to do our jobs as well? So something to keep in mind. Right?
And under the additional operational achievements, we also have that in that site design for the parking lot at 143 Burley Street, at least the conduit will be in place for future electric vehicle charging station.
Okay.
That's it for the main plan.
Okay.
And there's one general thought I have, and this is going back to something that Gary mentioned about time as a resource. It's not per person, it's a finite resource, but we are able to buy more time by hiring more staff and increasing our wages. If we were looking to cut down the time on some of these projects, what kind of time would we be needing to invest in right now? Is it administrative, managerial, operational? What are we lacking the most right now?
The org review certainly pointed that out, right? When it came to, I think, administrative support. Which there's, I think, 3 different departments where it talked about that. Cause we tend to have, you know, a lot of managers are doing a lot of operational stuff, right? At the same time, they're, it's, you know, small sort of, you know, compact departments. So yeah, I mean, one of the reasons why we, you know, built those extra offices downstairs too, but they could get filled up pretty good. So I think, Elaine, you said your report's coming forward for the org review, and we need to consider that in time for the budget as well. But yeah, we need more human resources to do the things that we need to do.
Yeah, I would just maybe comment that I think kind of what came out of the organizational review is both. We don't really have a middle management level either.
Yeah.
So it's the administrative and middle management, and then.
Yeah.
That would, both of those would free up time and material stuff.
It's coming. Wait for it. Okay,
So
so
that concludes my portion, if you wanna move on next to.
Yeah.
Edwards.
Edward, let's do it. Although we've probably covered most of it. And you've got 10 minutes, just so you know. So stop.
Well, because I don't want to take away from lunch, I won't do a report verbatim. But I'll kind of go through some of the key sections
Perfect.
and discuss. So in terms of residential development, the residential market has softened over this year. But, and I know talking, you know, building permits are down. Positively, though, there are a couple prospective development that have reached out.
Oh, yeah, put your mic on, please.
That have reached out, working with our planning consultant, Laura Stone has worked out well, that collaboration on that. So that although things are, look, you know, a bit, have slowed down now, I'm still positive that, you know, in the future, there will be, you know, additional demand from the private sector for additional residential development. On the residential intensification, specifically with ADUs, as a result of today's meeting, you know, follow up with Matt in terms of that meeting with the builders.
Yeah.
And others in the industry. There has been some changes this year from CMHC regarding lending for ADUs. That at that meeting, that's something maybe I can speak to. As well, that, you know, the communal servicing may provide, you know, not necessarily short term to Balmer Road, but long term. If, you know, and when I say long term, I'm talking 10, 20 years out, that those types of systems may allow for additional intensification, whether it's, you know, additional units or commercial units within Apsley, that we're putting in a full wastewater system may not be feasible, but that could potentially be an option down the road for a community like ours. With the mixed use zoning, as mentioned today as well, that with the comprehensive zoning review, not much has moved forward over the last year, but through the downtown revite process, I know definitely I'll be having some recommendations regarding zoning specific to mixed use. And I think that'll tie in as well with the new official plan that hopefully will be move through all those processes here in the next couple months. So kind of come back to communal servicing again, and I think with the innovation housing, the communal servicing and, you know, and looking at alternative housing types, whether that's, you know, the physical dimensions or alternative rental, whether looking at potentially offering up land from the municipality owns on long-term land lease for affordable attainable housing. I think all those options look at, you know, innovation in housing. Internet and cell service came up again today. I know it's a major one. So again, those discussions with Rogers and Bell, and positively looking possibly, you know, next year 4 towers, starting the construction process with Rogers as part of the Salt Gap project. The county is working with, has established a rail transit subcommittee. I'm one of the members on that, and they will be looking, applying for a grant through the Ontario government to undertake a large scale, you know, overarching transit needs analysis for the county. Under labor, there has been, significant amount of changes over the last couple of years, particularly with both the colleges and the universities. But that demand for skills training is still there. So we started working with Contact North this year, which is a great connection for people in the community to be able to have a resource to help them find specific skills training options, whether it's through colleges, universities, but also they also offer free online options as well through the libraries and other resources. So that has been great in terms of offering additional skills opportunity in the community. This year with the dissolving of PCAD, a significant amount of time has been involved with the transition of tourism in terms of communication. That has been something we worked closely with, especially Tracy with the counties have been excellent with that. I think we had the tourism talk this year. We started Discover North Forth, the Facebook page, which I think has been great in terms of an alternative avenue for creating content and sharing content that's specific to the tourism and visitor economy here. Been especially happy with the uptake in terms of our views and interactions in Q3 and Q4. The county's been great with their road tripping in the Kawarthas editorial that went out in Kawartha Now. We've been active this year, putting more content on their events calendar. There was a new interim map that went out earlier this year, which had the full county on it from a tourism perspective. There was a new digital map also put out a couple of weeks ago from the county that had additional updates and showed additional places to visit in the county and in the township as well. And we will budget for additional maps as well for the 2026 year, because there was a lot of people still like those physical maps from a tourism perspective, and working with the county has been great in terms of updating that content. The county and RTO8 has also received funding to update the very sad looking sign at the Yields Creek rest stop. So we're hopeful that that will be replaced in early 2026 with the only cost for the township relates to the permitting on that. And that also will, so one side will be the county's tourism information and one side will be our branding and township information. And if that works out well, there's a possibility that we could use the same sign footprint and add additional ones elsewhere in the township as well. So that's been a significant transition this year on the tourism and communication, but I think it's been very positive, that working relationship with the county this year as we've worked through that, and the new economic development task force that's been created as well, and working through that process. And the short-term rental committee, which I've been the staff member on, has had, significant consultation this year, and I know that hopefully that recommendation will be brought to council here soon as well with that. But no, I don't want to hold people back from lunch. So if there's specific questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
No, it's good. And I mean, you throughout the whole thing, and that's why I said the challenge of having a plan within a plan, right? Is that, we touched on a lot of it as well too. So but this is good work that gathered it there. Oh,
And I expect the answer is gonna be no, but it's just something that I found in my mind. The 4 EV chargers that we've got slated for the end of the parking lot, is there any opportunity for keep that sort of site 4 chargers, but reduce it from 4 to 2? And then use the savings from the 2 that we wouldn't be spending from the tax base to put towards somewhere else, or are we set with having 4 there? Cause I would have an easier time if we had 2 there and 2 downtown somewhere eventually. But even if we put 2 downtown, we're gonna be left with 4, so it's gonna seem like our primary charging area is that sort of corner of the parking lot that's almost out in Timbuktu.
Long way though, there's no question.
So answer that by not saying no after that. There's 2 components to it. So we have so the funding to the Ontario government, which covers us, so if we reduce that savings, the savings would be the township's contribution to that, so we would have to make up that difference on other projects where we wouldn't have that funding from the province. Here, it is possible to reduce the number of chargers. One aspect is that because this has level 2 and level 3, the level 3 has certain costs that relate to the transformers for the level 3, so which would be needed whether we were doing 2 or 4 or 6. We still need those transformers on site, so that'd be kind of a fixed cost that would, whether we were putting one level 3 charger in or 8, we'd still need that transformer there anyways. So some of that cost would stay the same. As well with 143 Burley specifically, at this time, I couldn't be sure if we could put in a level 3 charger there, just there's not the space for those transformers and on the site itself without taking away from the parking. And I don't think that, I'm not sure if we'd be able to do pole mounted transformers because we would need multiple without replacing those poles that are there, we'd probably have to change without going through, probably changing the wooden poles to heavy concrete poles. And at that point, I still don't know if Hydro One would allow for that type of transformer configuration there. So, and whether the Hydro One would approve that electrical demand there. So it would, I don't know as well if it's transferable as well in terms of the electrical capacity and servicing option as well, so.
Right, Atlanta?
Yeah, so I would just add to that, I think it definitely is our intent to try and get some EV chargers into the downtown area. We did apply for the parking lot behind 135 early and we're not approved, so we didn't get the funding for that. So I think, you know, getting the combination of the 2 and 3, at least in the one location, planning ahead and putting the, you know, the conduit and what we can into the parking lot design. And we would still have the option to maybe pursue 135 Burley Street, and continue to look for funding, or council can make a priority in the budget to, you know, move those forward.
Yeah, go ahead.
Is like, if I could just place things where I wanted, which I realize I can't. What I would sort of like to do, keep the 2 level 3s at the community center. Cause that's the area that you're most likely gonna have somebody that's gonna wait in their vehicle while they charge. So the faster they can charge, the better. If we keep the 2 there, we're not increasing the cost per charger for a level 3 at all with that new transformer. And then put the 2 level 2s downtown where it's a slower charge that people would be out walking around and be able to walk over to another business. So it'd actually be removing the 2 level 2s from Jack Lake Road, keeping the cost per level 3 the same for that transformer. And having something downtown eventually, realizing that it's not gonna be done at the same time as the parking lot. But that would be my downtown master plan for EVs.
I think that downtown master plan for EVs could still happen even though we have 4 there. Like, I think, like, what we plan with making the parking lot official, we're putting in that infrastructure, so we're ready, like shovel ready, basically, or laying wire ready to get to apply for grants. And I think whatever work needs to be done for 135 Burley Street, we need to do that too, because I think definitely market and advertise that parking lot more, better define it, but we definitely should put infrastructure in there to have EV chargers in there as well. And maybe at some point it's gonna be here, cause I mean, we're not that big and people can walk, and I know you say it's in Timbuktu at the end, but I really think I mean, all the times I park at the community center when there's a big event, I gotta walk all the way from one end to the other, maybe maybe they're not gonna sit in their car, maybe they're gonna go for a walk down at Riverview and launch a canoe, I don't know, right? But I don't wanna like have less, I just wanna have like, let's go ahead with the plan that we have, and we got the grant based on that, but let's not you know, sit back and say, okay, we've done our part, like, we need to do more. And I think there's, like, those 2 locations, 135 and 143, but I also think here is another location too. And maybe the library as well. Right? So. Add that on the plan. Our treasurer's going, oh my gosh. So. Okay, is there anything else? For Edward when it comes to this? Okay, I don't see anything, so. Thanks,
Thank you.
carry on.
Thanks, Everett.
Okay. Okay, so we've kind of done all this, I know we have it all laid out, but I mean, basically it was we were doing all the four this whole time, so Lana, do you have any sort of like wrap up words then?
No, I would just ask if there's anything that council wanted to add or discuss that hasn't been discussed. I think we've covered a lot of the topics. I think we're on track to complete a lot of the items by the end of the 2023-2026 strategic plan. And some of the comments that were made, we will consider and bring into the budget discussions. So it's perfect.
Okay. Thank you. Is there anything else? Anything burning? That didn't get brought up in our discussions? If not, then I guess just a motion to,
Covered by what?
well, do we have to do a different motion before that to receive the
I want to receive their.
to receive the updated progress reports and direct staff to carry on?
I'll move that.
All those in favor of that, Ruth Ann will second it. All those in favor?
I'd really like if they can keep the direct staff to carry on the motion.
Kelly, you got that? That's what you said.
And my intent would be to update, based on some of the discussion,
Yes.
update the two progress reports and maybe just put them in an information report for council. And then we will put them up onto the website.
That's part of the carry on.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Okay, so now a motion to confirm the proceedings of today's meeting.
That's me.
That's
Yes, ma'am.
okay, moved by Jim, seconded by Colin, all in favor. And motion to adjourn from strategic planning. Moved by Roseanne, seconded by Colin. We're adjourned.